You know, you've worked with the world's top media networks, such as the NHK, CNN, and CNBC. Has there been like the most memorable point in your career? The proudest moment, maybe?
Oh, boy. I think a highlight for me was when I got hired at CNN. I was the youngest correspondent that they had worldwide. And then I was also the first Korean. So that was a really, it didn't hit me until later when people actually would bring it up that I guess it was sort of a pioneer in many ways, that I was young and I was Korean. And then, at the age of 30, I became an anchor for CNN, again, the first Korean. So that was, that was a momentous occasion for me. And it made me happy that I could represent Koreans, and the hard work that I put in, and women, of course.
Well, when you're achieving such milestones throughout your career, at what point do you decide, maybe it's time to make a move? Whether it's going to work for another network or whether it's setting up your own company.
Right. No, good question. I think for me, it was always about, am I still feeling fulfilled? Do I still feel like I'm serving a purpose in this job? If I felt like it was getting too monotonous, or I just felt like I wasn't growing anymore and not contributing the way in which I wanted to, which was really, for me, I'm so type A. It's like it's got to be 110% or it's not good enough. That's at that point when I don't feel that anymore is when I really know I need to make a transition. I've never been motivated by money or fame or status. If I were, I never would have left half my jobs. Never. People thought I was crazy when I left some of these jobs. But for me, that's never been the motivation. And so I've always wanted to feel some sort of fulfillment, some sort of sense of newness. It's, again, because of my curiosity. And now as I get older, it's even more so. It's like I need to feel like I'm doing something for myself, but also really starting to give back with my journalistic skills. I should be really helping the world somehow. Inspiring, educating, doing something that matters. It's not just a job to me. If I wanted to just clock in and clock out, then I would have never left any of my jobs.
Right.
But I think that's always been in me to just kind of keep going.
Is that why you started your own media company?
Yeah, that was part of it. I think it was always a dream of mine to see if I could actually produce something from the ground up. And at that time, I was at CNBC and I was feeling antsy, doing business news. And at that time also, I saw a need to try to represent the women of Asia because they were really starting to become empowered, very vocal, very independent. But there was no media representation at the time. So I just thought to myself, well, if nobody's done it, let me give it a go and see what happens.
But then being a CEO also means you have to be a businesswoman. And
yes.
that was
that was the hardest part.
Beginning for you.
That was the hardest part. Even though I had a business news background, that didn't mean anything when it comes to running a company. Everything from business plans to, cash flow to getting investment and then making sales. So when you start your own company, I wasn't so prepared to know that you have to wear about 50 different hats and play so many roles. And that project almost killed me. I'm not kidding. I mean, I was pretty much wiped out after I did that. I learned a lot, invaluable lessons. I'd probably do it differently if I had a second chance. Yeah.
The Maybe
definitely.
show?
Yeah, I would have done it differently, honestly. And people might be surprised to hear this, but it was not, it wasn't successful. And so I do look at it as a point in my life where I did face a failure, and that's the thing about failure. It's not a bad thing. Failure is necessary. Failure allows you to grow and really learn about yourself and what direction you want to go in.
That was like your first failure in life, though.
Well, it was my first big failure. I had some, smaller ones before, but that was my first big failure. But at the same time, I feel like that was such a transformative failure for me, that it really changed me. It humbled me. And that's something I always talk about now. There's a lack of humility in our world. People just need to be more humble about themselves and about their lives and about their direction. And I think that's really helpful in allowing you to grow into a better person.